Hello, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Reprieve Media CIC. Before we get on with the source content today, I just want to talk about something that's happening to all accent residents in the UK. They're called Nene Housing here in Peterborough, but a lot of these smaller social landlords, they merged into Accent, or they were bought out by Accent. Don't really know the ins and outs of it. It's certainly not improved the service the Nene Housing residents receive here in Peterborough, that's for certain. The office, the Nene Housing office at Manor House Street, that's closed down I think now. There's no front of office staff there, so Nene Housing residents can't even go there to sort their things out. They can't phone them up to complain about things. They have to phone up a main switchboard. They get put through to normally somewhere in Yorkshire, Shipley, somewhere around there, Leeds area. And they don't know anything about the area up there. They don't know anything about Peterborough, you know. So you really are finding it difficult to get things done. They can't settle on a contractor. They've had a contractor for the last 3 or 4 years, an awful contractor. So they've now replaced them and they've got another one. So they just can't. They can't establish any continuity whatsoever. It's basically, they're just a rent collection service, really. People look out their windows here, there's fly tipping all the time, because they feel that there's no responsibility of theirs to present their customers with anywhere to get rid of any old stuff. They just think, well, as long as we collect the rent, then we're happy. The residential lights where I live have been off for weeks around the area. It's frosty, icy, dark, cold and dark, and you know, they won't fix anything. And I've actually sat here now with still old furniture inside my house, because they expect me to, the only way we seem to be able to get rid of things here is to leave them outside, fly tipping, pollute your own environment, defecate on your own doorstep, so to speak. So I refuse to do that. So when people go outside and they see other people's three-piece suites just dumped out there, ready for collection, then we feel quite angry. So we ask Nene Housing what they're doing about things like that, and they say, they don't really tell us anything. You know, the arrogance of certain people within the Nene Housing organisation that feel as though they don't want to be held to account by anybody. I don't know, we'll let that speak for themselves. But this is really about the letter dated the 14th of December. This letter is being sent to all residents at Ashfields. So basically what they're trying to do on us, this is happening to all Accent residents across England. We've been told by one of the housing officers that is actually happening all over England, this idea that Accent have had. They want private traffic wardens to monitor the car parks. You know, no one will know where they've come from. No one will know how much it's costing. I can't find out what powers they've got. You know, so I'm just going to read you the letter. As you are aware, I'm not aware. I have never seen any problem whatsoever here in my nearly 20 years of living here that anybody has trouble doing this. As you are aware, we often get people parking in the communal car parking areas who have no right to park there. Is that happening? I don't know it. I don't know. As a result of this, we have an option to instruct a parking management company, traffic warden, to ensure that only residents and their visitors park in our spaces. This has been successfully implemented across other Accent schemes with positive results and feedback from residents. That's where you see they're going to try and implement this on all of their schemes, private security firms. Obviously they're only looking at car security at the moment, but private security is rife in this town here in Peterborough. It was only last year that Peterborough City Council paid a private firm to look after the homeless over the Christmas period, to make sure they didn't live their lives without disruption. You know, not even the homeless have a right to Christmas without a private security firm being paid thousands of pounds to disrupt them while the council officials are at home enjoying their own Christmas. The proposal is that each property will be issued with one permit, and that anybody with parking without a permit would then receive a ticket and have to pay a fine. It all goes back to revenue collection, you see. Nene Housing are thinking again, how can we raise money here rather than how can we improve services? If you have a visitor, then you could loan them your permit if you are not using it, or they would be expected to park off-site. The parking permits would also apply to any professionals such as carers that are visiting you. The carer would be expected to park and then go to your property to collect your permit to display in their vehicle. So not only are they trying to disrupt the residents, they're also trying to disrupt the carers. The carers really haven't really got time to do all this. They're busy people. Once the visit is over, the professional or carer would need to return the permit back to you. Don't worry about delivering essential services to your next customer. Make sure you've got the permit back to your person first. That's the priority of Nene Housing here. There is no charge for this service, but our rent goes up every year anyway, so your service charge will not be affected. The service charge goes up every year along with the rent. It's all mixed into the two. The key part for this is what they are trying to do with this. I spoke to a housing officer on the phone yesterday. They refused to be interviewed, point blank refused to be interviewed. They were more than happy to tell me, give me an outline of why they were doing it and what they were doing it for. But when I said to them, well, why don't you go on the record with this and clear it up for every accent resident in England? They just flat out refused. Their exact words to me were, well, we've put the letters out, we've disseminated the information with the letters, we think we've done enough, to be honest. So that's the situation with that. There will be no interview with Nene Housing. They are unavailable for comment. Anyone who's more interested in this to clarify things needs to phone the Nene Housing switchboard. We will give you the number for that at the end of this update. What they are actually relying on, Nene Housing, to get this through, as they rely on a lot of things. There's no housing association here, so they have the residents well and truly divided over everything. What they're actually relying on to get this through is apathy, resident apathy. The housing officer told me on the phone, if nobody replies, it will go ahead. So it's a bit like the situation with the donor cards. What people have found unsatisfactory, where people need to opt out as opposed to opt in. What really we think the best way to have approached this with Nene Housing would have been, if people felt that strongly about this, then they should have been able to opt into this scheme through sending a letter, rather than silence being taken as an indicator that people are happy with this to proceed. Silence isn't an indicator of happiness. It's an indicator of apathy. People aren't interested. If people don't respond to anything, then they are neutral. They are not bothered one way or the other. So I encourage everybody who thinks they may be an accent resident, or thinks they may have family who is an accent resident, to keep their eyes open and really look for this. If your housing scheme has already had this forced upon you, then I'm sorry. We've only just heard about it. People would have told us about it before, then we might have been able to act before. Saying that, we've only been incorporated since October. We can't change the world overnight. We know that. But on this, we feel that this is just a step. This is a step on a very slippery slope. These private security firms. We don't want private security firms. We don't want private traffic wardens. We don't want privatisation, full stop. Profit over service. It's rotten. People need the public services to be in the public sector to work, to function properly, and to, what's more important, to function legitimately and not have outside interests or outside conflict of interests or profit margins to satisfy. I don't feel personally, as a non-car owner, I do know people with cars here. Not one person has said to me, oh, I'm having a nightmare parking my car today because there's no room. Not once has that said to me. I was actually told that there's a few garages here. There's about 75 flats and about 40 garages anyway. So we're basically only looking at housing half of the people's here that cars anyway, because the other half are in garages. It's social housing. My main issue with this is the tacit implementation of private enforcing, private law enforcement. You know, that's my issue regarding this. So I would urge what Nene Housing have done. They have sent a letter with the questionnaire with the letter. They've even sent you an envelope, a nice second class one, so you can send it back via second class, and they probably won't receive it for another 2 months. And then by then the deadline will have gone. So what I would encourage everybody to do is just send the letter back as well, informing there's 2 options on it. It's a fairly straightforward survey. It's only a 2-box survey. I am happy to have a parking management company look after the car parking area, tick the box. Or I am not happy with having a parking management company look after the car parking area. And tick the box. And then leave any other comments. I will be doing that, obviously. And also I will be providing an email address for people to just voice their concerns via email. Because it would be absolutely terrible if everybody sent their second class replies back and they didn't get there in time. The closing date is actually the 4th of January. Yes, the 4th of January. With it being the busiest time of the year though, you know, there's a lot of post going through, a lot of post being delivered. I know that from personal experience, through members of my family working in the postal services for a very long period of time. You know, so I know how busy the Royal Mail is at this time of year. So they are putting it through, they are relying on apathy at a time when the postal service is at its busiest to force this through. It's very cynical. I might be totally wrong, you know, people here in Ashfields might just want to keep themselves to themselves and not tell me if they're having trouble parking their car. If that's the case, I welcome the scheme. But more to the point, people need to have their say. If they are in favour of the scheme, ring Nene Housing up and tell them they are in favour of the scheme. If they are not in favour of the scheme, then ring up Nene Housing, email Nene Housing, send back the questionnaire, tell them under no uncertain circumstances that you're unhappy with the scheme. You know, that's basically all we have to say on that. We're going to provide you with a few contact details now. If anybody would like to contact Nene Housing over this issue, we have the telephone number for the contact centre is 0345 678 0555. There's also an email address where I'm going to be sending my thoughts on this, and I encourage every Accent resident to do the same, because if you haven't had this policy thrust upon you yet, it is coming. They just haven't got round to you. They have plans to have private traffic wardens in all of their housing schemes. The letter says so. The email address is customerservices@accentgroup.org. customerservices@accentgroup.org. Let them know you're thinking. Apathy is not the way forward in society. You know, don't let them do things. Don't let people do things without having a say, or else you will just be over. You'll wake up one day and your rights will have gone, and it's only because you didn't fight for them yourselves. Pure and simple. People should not be expected to fight for you. Fight for yourselves. If you're not happy with something, we can do it. If we're not happy with the services we're provided, what do we do about it? We set up our own community organisation, free of charge, and we are trying to make a difference for the world we love. It's not rocket science. Anybody can do it. No, don't let others fight your battles for you. Fight your own battles. So let Nene Housing, Accent Group, whatever name they go part of your country. Let them know what you think about this. If you support it, tell them. If you don't, tell them. I personally don't, so I will be telling them I don't. Other people, like I said, might have a totally different view about that. And that's totally acceptable in life. It is only when we all agree on things that we will be doomed. If the pain of being separate or the pain of something is so overwhelming that we all agree that coming together is better than the pain itself, then that is the day we are all doomed, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. So dissent is fine. There is nothing wrong with dissenting voices as long as they are, you conduct yourself properly in an argument. An argument is fine. A differing opinion of views is fine. Consensus, if everybody agrees on something, then that is the day. It's all over, without any shadow of a doubt. So with that in mind, we're going to go on now. We're going to give you the contact details once again quickly for Nene Housing while we can. Telephone number for the Nene Housing contact number is 0345 678 0555, and the email address, should you wish to contact them via email, is customerservices@accentgroup.org. Have your say, folks, or else one day you might wake up and find that your tongue has been cut out and you can't have your say anymore, metaphorically speaking, of course. Well, we hope so anyway. Thank you, but we need a break after that. So with that, we'll sign off with this update now, and we'll say thank you for listening, everybody, and all the best. We're going to have a couple of interludes for you, and then we will crack on with some source content. Thank you for listening, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, hopefully with us, and all the best.